Next question. What are the challenges that you are facing as a first mover in the industry, um, or like new technology in the industry, especially in educating and introducing your technology to target market?
So this question is from Marcel. Since manufacturing is such a large part of the business, do you think there might be a manufacturing shift away from China down the line, all things considered? So let's start with Anthony first.
Sure. I think the two things that we really look at when we choose our manufacturing place is, one is the cost of labor, right? Definitely quality is part of the whole thing. And then the second thing is logistics. How are we able to ship, the product from that location to the rest of the world? And especially today, labor cost is rising in China. Second is also, with the trade war between US and China heating up. Today we are already hit with extra tariffs when we ship our products out from China into the US, which is one of our top 3 markets today. So there are a couple of alternatives that we're looking at. I mean, exploring places like Taiwan, as Aashish mentioned. We're also looking at places like Vietnam or even Philippines, where these are emerging economies where a huge manufacturing base can be set up. But I think at this moment we got to look at how we hedge our bets. No matter what, China, the whole Sanjiawan area, the whole Shenzhen, Guangdong area, right, is still very, very mature in their whole supply chain and logistics. So what you might be able to gain out from, lower tariffs when you ship out, say for example from Vietnam, at a small volume, you might not actually get that much savings if you just do everything in China, simply because of the whole maturity of the ecosystem that you have over there. But definitely, once you hit a certain scale, you should take many of these factors into consideration. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Anthony. How about Ashish? Do you see?
Yeah. So manufacturing, it depends on the timeline. So definitely, manufacturing is becoming a lot more automated than ever before. Labor is becoming less intensive in the manufacturing process. With that being said, in the countries, there's a lot of shift right now in the world in terms of developing and redeveloping manufacturing sectors. I know with America, with UK, all looking into being able to start producing and being a bit more self-sufficient. I think COVID-19 is also kind of triggered that even further, mainly because you start realizing that half the goods that we actually get can't be shipped anymore because we just can't make it here. We depend a lot on other countries. I mean, Singapore is a big example of that. I mean, food-wise and all that stuff. So basically, what I will see happening is definitely going to be distributed manufacturing for most companies, where it will be manufactured within the country itself for that country. That's going to, in the most ideal scenario down the future, where if you want to be able to supply to America, we just manufacture for America itself and be able to focus within the American market. But it really depends a lot on the trade tariffs, how countries deal with each other. Things are changing in a big dynamic way. But most likely, distributed manufacturing is something that we just have to be able to handle and be able to organize, which is very, very difficult for companies because there's going to be a lot of different qualities, services, a lot of different checks, a lot of different component supply chains, different types of components in each product that's manufactured. So it's a very difficult area, but that's something that we would have to figure out down the road in the future. So yeah, it'll definitely be moved out of China. Not moved out of China. My China has its own manufacturing as well, but it'll be spread out and distributed around the world.
So it's more like not relying heavily on China, I guess, right?
Definitely. Not relying heavily in China, reducing logistical cost over labor cost. Because with automation, when you start reducing need for labor, then your main cost for labor is logistics. So then when you think about that, then you're like, okay, fine. That's if you can actually have automated manufacturing sites on each and every country that you have manufacturing in, which is a lot more automated, and labor becomes out of the question. then it's about logistics and being able to reduce logistics costs, and that's going to be more of a distributed manufacturing system down the road.
Okay. Thank you.
So I think this question is from me. How, you as a founder of a startup, how do you separate your time between developing the product internally and fundraising? So let's start with Anthony.
Okay. Yeah. So I think it's it's an evolution, right? As the company grows, at the beginning you're doing 5 things at one time. Maybe fundraising at some time. At the same time, you're figuring out what the product market fit is. At some time, at the same time you're also figuring out how to do marketing and building the channels and business development. But I think at this moment now, as the company grows, you're able to kind of have trusted people within a team to take on certain kind of the commercial side, the operation side, the HR side and stuff like that. At this moment, for me personally, I think fundraising at the moment is about maybe 15% or 10 to 15% of my time, including investor relations and stuff like that. I think in a way, I'm quite lucky to have built or at least have investors that have been working with us that really trust what we do, and we have regular sync ups anyway, and so it doesn't go overboard anymore. Versus the first 2 years of building the company where it was really overwhelming. But yeah, I think right now, probably if you were to look at the split of my time in a regular day, right, it might be 10 to 15% of the time, managing investors, looking at potential fundraising opportunities. 40% of the time really is internal. Working with the team, identifying gaps within the organization, identifying a new talent, or retaining a talent within the people within the company, or like promoting people so that the organization continues to grow and get efficient. Then the remaining time is really looking at the front line, working with the commercial team, identifying the new opportunities, and so that we can give ourselves that 1 to 2 years of planning. One thing that really sticks with me is how Jeff Bezos says that the quarter that was concluded today, or this quarter, was actually planned 3 years ago. So they knew exactly more or less how they will end the quarter today 3 years ago. And I think that's something that we are not there yet. We're trying to move towards a direction. Look 1 to 2 years ahead, and I think that's where I kind of split my time now.
Okay, I think our company, Arya and I, we're still trying to figure out that also. And okay, Aashish, thank you, Anthony.
Yeah, so I think it fluctuates a lot in terms of depending when you are in a phase of manufacturing, when in a phase of product development. We're still quite early. We're just under we are under 3 years old. So basically, a lot of what we do is experimentation. I would say survival, experimentation, and organize chaos. I think that's probably the best way to put it is organize chaos. Let's just stick with that term. Mainly because I think for us, so right now, I think in this period, I've spent about, say, 60-70% of my time focusing on fundraising, because we've hit a trigger point of commercialization, and where we now have been able to prove with the deployments that we've done in manufacturing sites and in smart buildings and showing results, prove that the technology is commercializable, and we're pretty much the first company to do that in the world. Now it's about just trying to actually raise enough money to be able to create a presence and dominate, and also at the same time make sure that we create an ecosystem like what Anthony has done. So ecosystem is one way to protect yourself, and that's a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of money. It doesn't just appear from nowhere. So all these things is a stage in which we are at, and so that's why we are. I'm spending a lot more time fundraising. But at the same time, we experiment a lot. What's nice about the initial stages of startups is that we have not created those engines yet. So I used to be in corporate. Corporate's all about engines, how to make sure that that engine is always oiled, that engine is always oiled. So there's a lot of engines running at the same time. They all have to be in sync, which is quite interesting and quite cool. But it's very hard to change an engine or maybe swap it around and try different things out. So we spend a lot of time in this stages just experimenting. All the marketing strategies, we experiment a lot, from using LinkedIn, using different types of messaging, different types of aspects such as webinars, doing demo videos, all that stuff. We even created like a developer kit, just thinking, hey, maybe some schools might want to use it, or maybe since now it's COVID-19, no one's going to buy our hardware, like our gateway and sense units, to put in a factory, because they can't go to the factories, they can't go to the buildings yet. So they're all sitting at home. So let's just create a portable version that's desktop, where people can just play around with it in home. And that's what we did. We created a developer kit, actually, and as a plug, if you want to get a developer kit, we're going to be launching it very soon. I'll send you a link. I think hopefully we'll send a link through the website, right, through the email follow-up. But the aim is to be able to get people to try it out and give it a go and get a feel for wireless power transfer on a desktop, so that you don't have to think about it so much, and at least just do it and give it a go. So yeah, that's pretty much, it's a mix and match of everything. So there's no straight answer as to where we spend a lot of our time. I spend a lot of my time. I just right now, I would say mostly fundraising, because we're in a stage where we are ready to grow and dominate.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Aashish. Okay, next question from Arya.
First, let's go for Anthony, because it's a combination from our question and one of the question from WJ. So Anthony, how do you plan for product certification? Is it based on where you plan to expand to, based on user base? I think, or based on user base, I think. So basically, how do you plan for product certification?
Right. I think we plan it based on where we think the opportunity is, and many times it's basically based on the customer feedback to us. Like I think right now the process really runs in this way, where if there's opportunity that comes out from, say, Norway, right, and there's this huge maybe in particular kind of locking solution that they need, and we need a particular certification. So then the conversation will happen where, what is the size of the opportunity, and what's the cost price that you need to get it at, what's the margins that we need. And so once the commercials kind of make sense, and if we need to get a certification done for the market, we will go ahead to do it. I mean, one good example was when we were looking at entering the Japan market. This was maybe about 2.5 years ago. To enter the Japan market, you need a particular certification called the GTK mark, which certifies your Bluetooth, as well as making sure that you comply with all the frequencies in Japan. And so applying for the GTK mark costs a few $1,000s. Right now it's probably not too expensive, but at the point in time, every few $1,000s you kind of want to save. And so really with the opportunity with the partner over there, they were rolling out across hundreds of doors, and they have this huge plan of hotels that they're trying to roll out. And so together we made a plan together that we will do a 1-year kind of contract with the partner, and we will enter the Japan market together with them. And we went ahead to apply for the certification for the Japanese market. Yeah. So I would say it's really customer led at this point in time, and opportunity led. And I think right now with the partners around the world that we have, we kind of hear what are the opportunities that might pop up from different places, and then we have a kind of internet ranking system where we want to focus on for the next 6 months or next 1 year as opportunity, and it goes into our product pipeline to get a certification if we require. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So this is a question from us. What are the challenges as global companies, and how do you penetrate market outside Singapore?
I think the biggest challenge is really localization. So every market is different. There's no such thing as there's 600 million people across Southeast Asia. Come here and you can sell to everyone, right? It's not possible. Every geography is different, and you have your own different culture differences. The way to do business, as well as local certifications. So I think we realized this very early on, and the most important thing is to find good partners in every geography that you go into. And with all these partners, it's important to build meaningful business relationships. where they can also benefit from selling your product, and there's a two-way street. That whatever feedback that they get from the market, the brand itself really takes all this information to heart, and you build a long-term partnership. I think that's really what we really tried to build from day one. When we started partnering Airbnb, and they're like, hey, I have 100 countries for you to ship to. How do you do it, right? And so from the beginning, we knew that we need to have partners to bring the stock, supply the stock, provide after sales service support, and to a certain extent also provides the local language support as well. Yeah. So I think building partners is a very important part of our business. Yeah.
So it's really localization is your challenges, and your solution is by creating local partners, strong local partners, right?
Yeah, strong local partners. Yeah, I mean the Indonesia example is we I think Arya knows this as well. We have our partner over there called Kunci Rumah Sistema. It's based in I think West Jakarta. We have a show flat over there, and I mean he has kind of really helped us in building up our presence over in Indonesia, and we continue to grow together with them. And in a way to get products, just a simple thing, right? Just to get products into a market like to Indonesia or to Thailand, you need to get the products through customs. And if you don't have a customs form, for a local company to certify it, you just can't do it, and so from just small things like just importing to the more bigger things like specifying for projects, getting a bank kind of LDE or that kind of stuff, you really need a local partner that trusts you and you trust them to grow. Yeah. Exactly.
Great. Thank you, Anthony.
Yeah.
Aashish, how about you? What are your biggest challenges?
I mean, we're definitely very different. We're not, our focus market is not too far to the consumer or to end users. So it's a very different perspective. But in the end of the day, a lot of it's down to partners, like what Anthony is saying, being able to find the right partners to be able to get to the market, support, warranties, shipping, getting stuck on borders for logistics point of view. So there's a lot of issues that happen in the distribution chain that partners will help a lot with. Also, at the same time, for certification, being able to work with the government, that's where partners become super exciting, and also at the same time essential. As a business growth factor. You can always set up an office there, but then to grow, you have to set up offices. What it means is that you basically have to spend more money in manpower just to grow, and that doesn't really help. So in the end of the day, being able to have a partner and share sort of profitability or have a good deal, we have a decent business relationship with that person to be able to focus on a growth factor within the country is huge. I think for us, I think we were a bit different. We kind of were global first, then local. I mean, I guess the big thing about Singapore is that there's not much manufacturing. There's not much focus in sensors or digitization in like smart buildings in terms of trying something new, right? So a lot of companies just kind of buy from abroad and bring it in. Whatever works, we just implement it. That's kind of the Singapore story in a lot of ways. So yeah, I mean our first customers were from Europe, Europe, France to be exact, Japan and America, and all over the place. You're kind of like trying to figure out how to handle all of it, and they're all different regulations as well. So I think as to how we got there, I mean, to be honest, I think that's a difficult question to answer. I think we were lucky in terms of our marketing trade show. We also were National Geographic, which kind of had a massive global impact in terms of exposure. And so a lot of companies did actually email us through that itself. And we had this random sort of calls from the US Navy to the US Air Force, from Africa, from Europe. We get a lot of emails through that itself. So we're quite lucky in that perspective, because to be honest, I think if you had to start off in Singapore, it would have been difficult, because there's just too many questions in terms of the tech, because it's new. No one's done it before. It's not proven technology. Not many companies would try that out, even government-run companies. So it was difficult initially. So with the success on the trials abroad with all these companies, now obviously COVID-19 came about. We're like, okay, wow, we don't have anyone in Singapore. Well, how can you do trials? How can you do any technology? And that was a bit difficult. So we had a period of a bit of a shock because all our customers were abroad. So then we had to actually figure out how to not go not go global, actually sell or at least be able to get pilots going within Singapore. And that was actually a lot more difficult. But luckily, I think we were obviously a lot more mature at that point. We already had a lot of pilots in hand. It was proven technology. It is proven technology. So then it became a lot easier within Singapore. And it wasn't as hard as we thought it would be after we've proven it elsewhere. It's a bit weird, but that's just how it worked out for us. I think it's just for everyone, it's going to be quite different.
But do you have partners to help you with the legal? I mean, like the, what do you call it? The legal, for each different country.
Yeah, so I think luckily, I think that's also the different part. We're not really focused a lot on the end users. We're working with the MNCs such as the industrial automation companies, the Schneider Electrics, the people who dealt with electronics for quite a while. That's a bread and butter. So they know the regulation pretty well. They're actually pretty much in talks with regulation directly on the boards of some of the regulatory bodies. So they kind of sort it out on their side without any issue. So any legal aspect as well works out quite well. It just takes time. That's a problem. So a lot of those MNCs move quite slowly, multinational companies. So it just takes time to kind of go through the paperwork and legal aspects. But what's nice is that they have pretty much teams to sort all that out in every aspect. So we've not had a huge problem being able to work with international companies, mostly because we don't focus directly to end users.
But in a way, they help you because then that local presence help you with the regulation, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Thank you, Ash.
Thank you.
Okay, last question. Very quick answer. What is one key takeaway that you can share to the audience? Let's start with Aashish. From being a founder.
I think the big thing is, I think for me, every day when I go through my day, it's all about value. So always focus on value and keep adding value. That's it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And Anthony?
Yeah, I think it's very similar. I think probably I would choose the word being relevant. Stay relevant to your customers, and keep them, loyal to you. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think that will be the end of our webinar. Thank you, Aashish. Thank you, Anthony.
Anthony, thank you, Ash.
Yeah. And for the audience, we will send follow-up email for feedback form and AWS application form. If there is any more question, you can send email to redaksi@siar.com or just reply to the follow-up email. And stay tuned for this episode at our YouTube channel, Siar News, and there will be an article about this today's webinar on siar.com as well. And our next session will be on Friday, July 3rd, same time, and the topic will be about how to execute as a female founder to be seen as an equal. So the guest speakers are Gita Syahrir, co-founder of Our Fitness, and Vanessa Hendriadi, CEO and co-founder of Go Work. So please join us again on Friday. And thanks again to our speakers today, Aashish and Anthony. Thank you. And goodbye, everyone.